Hi, I'm Jeremy, and hopefully you've been following along on this video series about the intersection of continuous improvement and automation. If so, we're just going to keep on rolling. If not, you can watch them in any order, but the first two really set you up for this one. Okay, this is the most technical of my intentionally non-technical videos on robotic process automation, and it's not even really all that technical. Maybe it's just a little more detailed. I want to talk about a few ways bots are structured or designed so that you can see their place in your processes. And even though we're talking about computer processes and moving data and information around on screens and websites and that sort of thing, when you can conceptualize how the bots could work in your processes, it all starts to become more tangible, like looking at a shop floor almost. These concepts weren't obvious to me when I began my journey into RPA, but now I think about them all the time. When someone is explaining their process to me, I'm mentally breaking it into parts and thinking, could a bot do this little chunk here or this slice here, but maybe not here? And knowing a few different ways bots work helps me consider what's possible. Okay, in order to talk concretely about any sort of automation processes, I need to create a reference point for you. So I'm going to demonstrate a super simple, completely made up accounting process. Then we'll talk about automation relative to this process throughout this video. So here it goes. In this process, I have a simple piece of accounting software that I'm showing here that has line item expenses for a rental house, such as utility bills and repair expenses and mortgage payments and that sort of thing. In this made up process, I want to assign different account numbers to each line item based on what kind of expense category it is. So I would go in here, edit more details, and put the account number right here in the notes. So utilities need one number and repairs need another number and so on. So the way we're going to do this is by looking at the expense category, then referencing this cheat sheet with the account numbers on it and copy and pasting the right account number into the right line item. Simple. Actually, so simple a bot could do it. And frankly, it's not the best use of my time and talents anyway. That's foreshadowing. However, there's a twist. Anytime a line item has a receipt attachment, like here or here, I have to open the receipt to make sure there aren't any sort of bundles of different expense categories all mixed together on it. So that will take a little work and brain power and knowledge on my part. But if there's no receipt, then it's pretty straightforward and I just drop the account number in and move on. Simple as that. Now let's say I wanted to introduce a simple bot into this process. Here's how that would work. I'm going to log into this software. I will skim over the line items one by one, and I'll just flag the ones that I want the bot to work. Basically, any of the lines without any receipts. Now, quick aside, I know that a lot of bots can just look and see if there's no receipt and decide to work it for itself. But for the purposes of this video and this demonstration, I want to note that the user, me, is making an initial review, flagging some accounts for the bot to work and keeping the rest for myself. Okay, I flagged the ones for the bot. I work the more complicated ones myself. What would that happen then is that at a designated time, probably overnight or whenever, the bot would come in here, look for the flagged accounts, see what the expense category is, copy the associated account number from this Excel spreadsheet, and paste it in to the notes section, just like it's programmed to do. This brings us to our first type of automation, unattended automation. The bot in the example I just described operates on a schedule, in this case overnight, on a discrete set of work, the ones I flagged. without a human worker triggering the bot to start. It can perform the entire operation, looking at the line item, finding the expense category, punching the number in. It can perform this end to end without engaging with the user, me, at all along the way. This is an example of an unattended automation. Unattended bots operate independently. They know exactly what to do, and most importantly, can complete a string of meaningful process steps without human interaction. Unattended automations are some of the most powerful automations we can find because unattended bots completely remove a piece of work from a human worker altogether. With that bot, I would no longer have to work any of those straightforward line items at all. I'd just work the ones with receipts, cutting my work down significantly. Unattended bots can work 24/7, 365. They don't need coffee breaks. They don't need you to be awake. They don't take holidays. Also, another very special benefit of unattended bots is that since they don't need to interact with a human worker, there's no need to do much, if any, real training with the human worker on a new process. In that last example, I just had to know to flag it for the bot and then move on. The bot simply removes that work, letting the human worker work on more of something else. Lastly, the technical infrastructure to support unattended bots at scale is far less than what other automation types we'll discuss might need. And I'm not going to dig into that here, but just know that this can be a significant cost and support benefit to your organization. This all said, unattended automations can be difficult to find and wrestle into place. This is because many of our processes and operations have decision points or input needs at some point along the way that depend on a human worker to use some combination of knowledge, expertise, or non-computerized data to complete the process. As someone who spends a lot of time working in automation, we can find ways to mitigate for this to keep the possibility of an unattended bot alive, but oftentimes a different approach is required. One way we work around this is just by taking part of the work, the part that doesn't need the human action, and leaving the rest behind, because some is better than none. Now, the most common type of processes that can be performed with unattended bots are data movement processes, meaning we have data in one application or a spreadsheet or somewhere, and we need to pull it, maybe manipulate it, and then input it back into that application or into another application on a repetitive basis, just like our earlier example. Another common process for unattended bots is repetitive functions. When an action needs taken over and over, that doesn't require any further interpretation. These are great cases for unattended automation. Now, let's talk about when things are not so straightforward. This is when we use attended automation. Attended automation brings bots and humans together to perform a process collaboratively. When a bot can't manage a meaningful set of steps independently and depends on a human worker to inform it at some point along the way, this is the case for an attended bot. If you think back to our example that we showed, I was performing an action before the bot got involved. I was looking at each line item and determine if it needed worked by me personally because of an attached receipt, or if it could be worked by a bot. If a bot could handle it, then I was tagging it for the bot who would work it later. That tag is what the bot looks for to determine if it should work the account, and then works it as a batch, overnight in this case, in an unattended way, like we discussed. But what if the work needed done immediately, or needed information from me along the way, and therefore couldn't be batched for a bot for overnight? In this case, we could consider an attended automation instead. The way this would work is I could have opened the line item in my accounting software, reviewed it, and if it was determined that it could be worked by a bot, maybe with a little guidance from me or not, I could have triggered the bot immediately to essentially wake up and perform the operation right then and there in front of me, ideally more quickly than me and error-free. No batching for later, no waiting. This is attended automation in its simplest form. Human worker and bot toggling back and forth, collaborating, working together. Attended automation is valuable because it opens up the realm of possibility for what can be automated, recognizing and incorporating the human worker with the bot in the process at the points where we can provide the greatest value at a decision point, or to take an informed action, or to review and analyze content, or to provide the bot data or information at a specific point. Attended automation does this by creating opportunities and interfaces for us to engage with the bot or trigger it at select points to maximize what it can do for us across that process. In addition to the example we just discussed, where a bot helps me after I've reviewed the work, another way attended automation is valuable is in decision support. This is when a bot can be asked to go out and source data or information from a decentralized collection of places and bring it back to the human worker in one screen, organized thoughtfully so that we can see what we need to see to make a decision or take an action. Instead of the human worker navigating the multiple places to collect that information, it sends the bot to do it and present it back in a useful way. This is a valuable use of an attended bot. I often think of bots in the attended space as setup or cleanup bots, meaning for setup, the bot gathers and prepares information for me to do my value-added work, or for cleanup, I do something value-added and then assign the cleanup work to the bot as a result of my action or decision. In these cases, we're working hand in hand with the pendulum swinging between me and the bot, each doing our parts. Sometimes, if the situation is just right, both bots can do both the setup and the cleanup, and the human worker lives in the middle, providing their value where the bot can't. While attended automation changes the way the worker experiences the process and may require training and change management, it raises the value of the human worker by pulling them away from performing lower cognitive and tedious work and focuses their concentration on the cognitive value only they can provide. If this were the shop floor, automation lets us compartmentalize the bigger processes into smaller pieces, bringing in small custom equipment to automate select parts of the process, keeping the human at the greatest point of value. It feels a lot like 5S and cellular manufacturing, but in the digital space. Bring me only what I need when I need it, so that I can add the greatest value at the right point, one piece after another, and nothing more. Now let's talk about a third kind of automation that starts to bring the two concepts of attended and unattended together. In our team, we lovingly call this space-time shifting. Space-time shifting blends the concept of attended and unattended while capitalizing on the advantages of each while mitigating some of the drawbacks. But more than that, it gives us an opportunity to ask if part of the process could be done at another time or in another place, removed from the critical path, which may free up human capacity at a time we need it most. Traditionally, when we think of work, we think of it being accomplished end to end, one step after another, all at once. Our processes, computer tools and software, and frankly, sometimes just our mindsets are organized to drive work in this end-to-end sequential way. Automation tools can free us of that structure and help us extend the ability to compartmentalize slices of that work and move them to a different time and place. Without this ability to shift time and place, one primary drawback of attended automation, where the human and the bot are working together, is that it typically means the bot is taking over the human's computer to perform a process while they, or me, wait and watch. This prevents the human worker from being able to use their computer themselves at that time. Now, overall, if the bot is able to perform the process faster and without error, then this is a net gain. but that's not always the case. And even so, it still leaves some meat on the bone for further improvement. Space-time shifting not only moves work to another time and place for a bot to do independently, but it also gives the human worker a medium in which to collaborate briefly with it in order to make a decision or provide an input that the bot will require when it does its work at that later time and place. I like to think of space-time shifting like working with a new intern. They hang out with you at your desk for a moment to get the direction or input they need from you because they don't know everything. But once they have that direction, they can take the work and go work on it somewhere else, following the basic steps they've been taught, plus the special line item specific information you gave them to get it all done. This is the same with automation. It hangs with you on your screen so you can tell it specific stuff. Then it goes and does the standard process incorporating your specific inputs. Let's look at our accounting example one last time. Now, instead of just flagging the easy line items for a bot to work, let's say I also had an attended bot working with me on the complicated ones, the ones with the receipts. If I could provide that attended bot on my screen with some information based on what I was seeing on the receipt, it could probably work those complicated ones as well as the straightforward ones, just like an intern could if I provided them with that same direction. In this way, I'm powering through my line items, flagging easy ones for the bot to do, and collaborating with an attended bot to give it what it needs to do the complicated ones too, dramatically cutting the effort I need to do this project at all. Here comes the space-time shift. The bot then gathers it all up, the easy ones and the info I gave it to do the complicated ones, and works them all either on another computer or that night on my computer while I sleep like a baby. The takeaway here is space-time shifting lets me have just enough of an attended bot working collaboratively with me so that I can tell it what I need to tell it. Then it takes all the work, plus my decisions and inputs, and goes away and works independently somewhere else as an unattended bot would, maximizing the benefits of both kinds of automation. My goal today with each of these examples was to start to crack open for you what's possible, to get your creative juices flowing and encourage you to rethink how your process works in the context of automation and its various designs and structures. Hopefully with this context, you can see your digital processes more tangibly and begin to apply what has benefited the manufacturing space for ages with compartmentalizing, rearranging, and automating select parts of your operation to maximize the value of your human workers. Like anything, repetition builds skill. Continuing to look at processes and collaborate with peers on how they might be automated will sharpen your edge and start to make seeing this second nature. The technology is always evolving though, so stay tuned into what is technically possible and inside the skill range of your developers so you can continue to expand your vision. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to stay connected on more videos about RPA and CI work, and share your thoughts in the chat. Until next time.